Sweet. Thank you guys for coming out to the first ever fan panel at All Monsters Attack. That's pretty cool. That is some cool history for this convention. I'm sure there will be many more to come. Hello, come on in. First off, I am Jacob. I am the head site guy for the website kaijuunited.com. Started as a Facebook group called Kaiju United. We just want to be like a super inclusive fandom space for everyone to be positive and just enjoy the things they enjoy. And in this instance, music. David, you want to go?
Hi guys, I'm David. I'm the host of the Talking Toku podcast. My main thing is that I love kaiju and I love heavy metal music, so this is kind of the perfect outlet for that.
Hi guys, I'm Alex, and I'm a two-time Jeopardy champion at G-Fest, and I also have a huge love for kaiju, and I love rock music, and when you got both of those things together, you get the best of both worlds.
Should we just do the elephant in the room real quick?
Well, that's the thing, we have 3 elephants in the room. Not you guys. That's not you guys.
Wow, geez, thanks, man.
Which one should we go for first?
I think the biggest elephant in the room is Gojira.
Is Gojira, okay. Well, I'm a big fan of Gojira, the band. Are they a kaiju band? Yes and no. They did release a few demos under the name Godzilla back in the 90s before Toho said, no, don't do that. So they changed their name to Gojira. They're not, but most of their songs, actually all their songs, aren't really about kaiju in general. Many of their songs are, however, about environmental conservation, which many kaiju films are, like Godzilla vs. Hedorah, Godzilla King of the Monsters. And as, I might be a little biased, but they are one of my favorite bands, and I've always kind of felt that they were deserving of the name Gojira. They have this sound that like just kind of reminds me of like a giant monster stomping through the city. You know, the main riff to Flying Whales always kind of felt like that to me. And Joe Duplantier, who's the singer-guitarist, his voice is very unique in death metal in that it really, you know, death metal is like, oh, it's a scream, but Joe is like, it's a roar. That's the only way I can possibly describe his voice, is that it's a roar.
Yeah, and I think the main riff kind of sounds almost, I would either say Footprints or like a strike.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it just is visceral, it just goes, you know, I can't really sing, but, you know.
I'd love to be able to play it for you guys, but...
It's all good. We just got 4 mics. Alex, what do you think of Gojira?
I think they're a great band.
Yeah.
Great live act too. I've seen them. Two songs into the pit, I was already exhausted. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I was gonna be in there for the whole set. I'm done. But yeah, it's.
You guys like Gojira out there? The band? I guess like Gojira.
All right, we have 2 more elephants in the room now. What's our next step?
What's the next one? Have you guys heard of Oxygen Destroyer, the band? Sweet.
You're in the right place then. Oxygen Destroyer, I feel, is kind of the.
He's got the shirt on.
I got my Oxygen Destroyer shirt on. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
For the panel. I feel like they were kind of like the reason for us doing this panel.
Yeah, the Oxygen Destroyer, for those of you that don't know, and those of you that may be watching this when this is recorded, is founded by my friend Jordan Farrow, who decided to make a super kaiju-themed heavy metal band. And it's more, I would say, black metal. I think Jordan had a better term for that.
I think they kind of prefer the term like black and thrash. I'm more of the opinion that they're just straight death metal.
Death metal, that was the right word. I get those 2 mixed up. But,
that's why I love me.
But yeah, they have songs like Slaughtering the Guardian Monsters and just fun titles.
Subsumed Within the Bowels of the Perennial Monstrosity is my favorite. It's about Biolante. Very nice.
They even use Biolante's roars at the end of the song.
They do. Just in case you weren't entirely sure what the song was about. I mean, we could just continue naming OD songs and have that be the whole panel.
The whole panel.
I mean, had Jordan been here, he could have just given this whole panel by himself.
Jordan was at the last All Monsters Attack with me, but he is not here, which
disappointing, sucks. Jordan, disappointing.
but he will be at G-Fest, so definitely say hi to Jordan at G-Fest. I will point him out to every single one of you.
They put on a great live show too. They didn't do this at the show I saw them at, but they do have clips from kaiju movies playing on their backdrop when they're performing, and it's I've seen videos of it. My friend, my co-host of Talking Toku, saw them open a screening for Gamera 3. So you get a death metal show, and then you see Gamera 3 right after it, and they had the clip show behind them during that performance. And he said that was like the coolest thing he's ever seen.
What an interesting way to have a screening too, because usually screenings you think of like Alamo Draft House, where it's like kind of cozy, upper fancy. You know, you go to see Lawrence of Arabia, and these like high tier classic movies. And not that the kaiju movies aren't high tier classic movies, but I don't see any death metal playing before Lawrence of Arabia.
Well, now's the time to start.
I mean, yeah, we can get that started. I want to talk about one of my favorite bands. For those of you that aren't really into the super heavy metal, death metal stuff, I love Kaiju. Have you guys heard of Kaiju at all? Cool. Kaiju is like, they call themselves surf punk, but they're just kind of like surf rock. All instrumental, no lyrics. It's got that nice surf rock vibe. A little bit of reggae thrown in there just for fun. But all their songs are either themed after monsters or Japanese culture or just kaiju in general. Like their big hit was Escape from Nebula M, Space Hunter from Godzilla vs. Gigan. They have a song called The Trouble with These Mothra Girls. They're just really fun. And as for the band themselves, they're kind of mysterious. They're almost like what Ghost is, where they don't identify themselves. They all wear kabuki masks, and they name each other like Mega Man names. Like they're like Proto Man, Rock Man, Tidal Wave Man. That's cool. And each concert they do when they promote is an attack. So they say Daikaiju attacks Philadelphia or something. I don't know. But I think they're really fun. The mystery behind them is really neat, because it could be anyone in this room behind Daikaiju.
You know what's funny?
It might be them. What do you say?
You know, it's funny that you describe it as like surf rock, because when I listen to it, I think it's got kind of a spaghetti western sound. Like it sounds like an Ennio Morricone soundtrack.
Yeah, which one did you listen to?
I listened to Escape from Nebula M, Space Hunter, and The Trouble with Those Mothra Girls.
Oh, sweet, the two I mentioned.
To me, they sound like something out of a movie.
I think that's the instrumental part of it, you know.
Just because there's no lyrics or anything, it sounds less.
You can kind of see that being
more cinematic.
Yeah. You also forgot to mention how they kind of embody Daikaiju in that they destroy their instruments on stage and light them on fire.
How could I forget about that? They light their instruments on fire when they're on stage, and they just burn them all to the nice groovy surf rock. Well, I got these two guys on board because they're very dedicated and passionate for their favorites. I think we'll start with David. David's got a few special bands to talk about.
I do. I most of it was for Oxygen Destroyer, but going off of Oxygen Destroyer, they actually did do a split EP with another band called Kaiju Daisenso, which I didn't mention when we were planning this panel. I'm sorry. I only thought about it right before we did this. But they are kind of a band where I haven't really quite pinned the genre down on. They fall somewhere between hardcore punk and power violence. Do you guys have any experience with the power violence genre?
Can you tell me what power violence is? That sounds really
because
violent.
I don't know.
That sounds really dangerous.
Nails, the band Nails is the only power violence band I'm really familiar with, and I've listened to them and like, what's the difference between this and hardcore? I'm not quite sure. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But anyways, so they're from New York. They like Oxygen Destroyer. They love kaiju. They play loving homage to movies on every release. They have songs like, hello, there we go. I think we're good. They have songs like Kilakian Enslavement, Seatopia Rise. What is happening?
Battery time.
Oh, are the batteries dead? Oh no.
Maybe. Kilakian Enslavement, Seatopia Rise, and Technicolor Ray Blast. Those are some great examples. They also put out a 2-song EP not long ago, just last month, called Longer, Thicker, Uncut, and Live. It's a couple of re-recorded versions of songs they play at the end of their shows. Again, don't quite know how to classify them as a genre, but they're quite good. Quite good.
That's interesting. I know that didn't Voivod put out something too, like an Ultraman EP or something.
Voivod last year did a Ultraman cover EP where they covered the original theme, and I think the closing theme as well.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And then some live stuff too, and that was really out of left field. Like Voivod is a weird band if you guys aren't familiar with them. They're kind of like progressive thrash, I guess you would call them, but they're like the weird kind of progressive. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's a weird progressive.
It's almost like experimental.
Yeah, kinda.
And then they just threw out like an Ultraman EP covering Ultraman songs. It's called Ultraman. You can find it on Spotify as well. All these guys we're talking about are on Spotify as well. I just wanted to throw out that I actually made a playlist for this panel, so I will link that
It's
to
like a
anyone.
2.5 hour playlist.
Yeah,
or
it's like a
something.
2.5 hour playlist with any of these bands we cover, and any extra bands that we just won't have time for. Like, there's a band called Kong with an H.
Yep.
And they have a cool album cover where it's just like a big Kong gorilla figure, like just staring at that front cover. I don't really know what they are, but their name was Kong, and they looked neat.
Yeah, I did Google Kaiju bands when we were researching this panel, and that was one of the first. There's just a 10 list of Kaiju bands that just came up, and I'm like, okay, this is a good place to start, and they were on there. But Oxygen Destroyer and some of the other ones we've already discussed were higher up on that list, of course.
And then, when I was getting Alex for this panel, there was one that totally missed me. Do you guys know who Buckethead is, by chance?
Well, if you don't know who Buckethead is the GOAT. That guy can play anything. Now, if you don't know who Buckethead is, well, he's got hundreds of albums to choose from, and anything you want to listen to, he's got something for your tastes. What makes him interesting is his dedication to the Buckethead character, because Buckethead dons a white kabuki mask and a KFC bucket on his head, because Buckethead wants to remain anonymous. And if you've been a fan of Buckethead for more than 10 minutes, you know that he loves all things Japanese, especially Giant Robot. And ever since day one on his first solo album, Buckethead Land in 1992, Buckethead has been paying homage to that franchise with songs like, well, off the top of my head, Buckethead plays the Giant Robot theme live constantly.
I mean, my only exposure to Buckethead is from Guitar Hero 2.
Same here. Sorry to disappoint you, Alex.
Jordan's on there. There's a song
And Soothsayer, don't forget Soothsayer.
Oh, there's two?
Yeah, Guitar Hero 3 had Soothsayer.
But I know that when I was looking into the stuff for this panel, like, I think it was Live from Subarayas was one of his album names, which, like, I can't get any more referential than that, right?
Yeah, in recent years, Buckethead's been doing live albums, and some of them do pay homage to the tokusatsu genre. There's one called Live from Lake Myojin, which, if you don't know, that's the lake that Godzilla was sleeping in Invasion of Astro Monster before the aliens take him to Planet X. Another one is Live from Daimajin Mountain. If you don't know what that is the statue monster from the movie of the same trilogy, produced by Daiei Studios in 1966.
Just, but didn't he thank Giant Robo in like the line notes for Guns N' Roses or something like that?
Yes, if you don't know about this, Buckethead was the guitarist for Guns N' Roses from 2000 to 2004, and he contributed multiple songs and overdubs to the Chinese Democracy album released eventually in 2008. And in the liner notes, I'll pull pull it up really quick. Buckethead would like to thank my family and friends, Tom and Nancy Carroll, and Stan Diamond for their support, Axel and the Guns N' Roses family for the opportunity. Lastly, thanks, Giant Robot.
That's how I want to be. If we do end up starting a band, that's how I want to be. I'm going to thank Godzilla in our liner notes.
But I want to start a ska band.
I don't see the problem here.
And it's not just in the songs either. Buckethead's paid homage through album covers. In 1989, Buckethead was in a band called Cobra Strike, and they released an album called The 13th Scroll, which features Ultraman on the front cover and Ultra Seven and Garamon on the back cover. Another one is Pike 59, Idropaj, that's Jeopardy spelled backwards, which features Buckethead dressed as Giant Robot, and it's done in the style of the plastic models you used to get from hobby shops. And the translation on that cover says, apply with glue and ideally color it silver.
Like it. Such a weird trend too, to have all these bands and all these characters. I mean, you got Buckethead and Kaiju wearing kabuki masks, but you got all these stage performers that are like anonymous characters. And I wonder if that's possibly influential from like Henshin hero stuff, like Kamen Rider and whatnot. They're all masked heroes, they're all incognito.
They're not committing to the bit though, unfortunately.
It's possible.
We don't have anyone like dressing up in full like Sentai suits on stage yet.
Is there like a dinosaur heavy metal band though?
There is.
What is that called?
I think they're called Heavysaurus. They are I'm gonna forget the nationality. They're somewhere in like the Norwegian area. They're like a children's band.
Yeah, they're a band for kids, but they're like a heavy metal band where they dress up in like Barney the dinosaur kind of costumes, and they're just Heavysaurus. It's great.
I can't believe we only just thought of that like off the top of our heads. Why did we forget that right off the top?
Well, they're human sized. Do they classify as kaiju?
I think so.
It's tokusatsu. I mean, it gets really broad because, like, for all the metalheads out there, I mean, could we say Gwar is tokusatsu?
I personally would. I 100% would. With the amount of work that goes into their stage shows, there's a really great documentary on Shudder called This Is Gwar that goes really deep into their history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they talk about like how they kind of started from the bottom in the 80s and just started ramping up the effects. Like they made it very clear that it started as like an art piece first, and then then it evolved into like a band, like a full-time band. But yeah, they're like talking about like, we used fire extinguishers to spray blood at people, and then we decided, well, we need to go bigger, so let's get like full, pressurized air cans to spray blood farther out into the audience. But yeah, even with the costumes, like that's I would say that's good. That's some tokusatsu stuff.
We should get Gwar to All Monsters Attack them.
Please, they'd probably come.
Excuse me, that was funny. But yeah, it's like there's such a strange world out there with the underground music scenes, and I'm just kind of a normie with music. Like my favorite band is Dio. Like I'm just a hardcore Dio fan.
But he sings about dragons, right?
He sings about dragons. He tells you to look out. He's watching out for you. But he loves Buckethead and Guns N' Roses. David's favorite band I've never even heard of. What was it again?
Moontooth. Unfortunately, they don't have any songs about kaiju that I'm aware of.
Why don't I pass the mic around to some of you guys that are attending, and we can chat about some music too. Does that one work, John?
Yeah, no.
If you guys are interested, of
If you guys
course.
want to, it's all good if you don't.
Speaking of Guns N' Roses, did you guys know that Slash is a huge dinosaur nerd and he's a huge fan of Godzilla?
Oh, I've heard a live Slash record that opens up with the Godzilla theme.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember which, but
Oh yeah, now that you mention it, he did play that around like the Snake Pit tour in the early 2000s.
What's up, man?
Have you guys by any chance seen the Goldfinger album cover with Godzilla and Mothra and Mechagodzilla on it.
I was not aware of
I don't
this.
think I.
I don't
It
think
sounds
so.
vaguely familiar, but
Like the Goldfinger that played the Tony Hawk song Superman. Okay. That wasn't a diss. That's just what I know him for.
Oh yeah, that song's amazing. So like,
It's great. For the pretending I was Superman.
no, I know the song. I played Tony Hawk. Don't worry.
What's your favorite band, Goldfinger?
Newfound Glory.
Okay.
Who are they? What do they play?
They're like Camera is to Godzilla, but like Blink-182 style. So they used to open for Blink back in like 2000.
That's a cool pick. I'm fond of that.
Thank you.
I know a guy in the middle. I asked his favorite band. What is your favorite band up in the front?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, you.
What's your favorite band?
Like Godzilla related?
No, just in general.
Well, I'll say Godzilla related. If you see Man or Astro Man,
Yes.
they're surf rock. I believe they're playing Chicago next week.
Really?
I think so. But yeah, they have songs like A Giant Microwave, and I know there's some other Godzilla related ones as well. But a lot of 50s science fiction surf rock kind of stuff.
There's some weird conspiracy theory that the Kaiju band I talked about is really that band. They just switched over.
I understand that. It's like, I think they're both active now. Like, Man or Astro Man was away for like 6 years or something like that, and now they're back.
Yeah, because Kaiju was gone for a while too. They hadn't dropped anything since like the mid 2000s, and they just put out a new album this year.
I don't know, the timing does kind of match up.
It does.
It's like they switched between the two bands or
Maybe.
something. Then Kaiju, I'm gonna go back on that a little bit. They talk real funny in their interviews. Like they're like Kaiju, power go, and they just like collectively all talk together as like one entity. So they are the Kaiju. I just think that's wonderful. It's really fun. Hi, Billy.
Sorry.
Thank you for coming. Billy, what is your favorite band?
Oh, favorite band.
It's a very tough one. I might have to go between three if that's okay.
That's
Let's
fine.
hear 'em.
Iron Maiden,
Yes.
All right.
Metallica, and Kiss.
So, are you original lineup Kiss, or are you like an Animalized kind of Kiss guy?
I could really go any era of Kiss because, the 70s era was good on its own. The 80s era was what it was on Masked, but they were heavier. And nowadays they got Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer still, I take it.
Yeah, they do.
They always play great.
Would you
Sometimes I think Gene Simmons needs to, he talks a little too much.
Yeah.
But I still like the music.
So if we're considering Guar
just about to
Tokusatsu,
say?
would we consider Kiss Tokusatsu? That's the question.
Well, Gene Simmons admitted that his boots were designed after Godzilla, so I would think
Well,
so.
Why didn't we
there
talk
go.
about Kiss?
There we go. That cements it.
This is why we need Billy over here.
That's just what he said in an interview.
I mean, yeah.
But that is Gene Simmons talking, so who knows if that was actually the case? You know?
Because he always changes his.
Exactly.
What kind of, I don't know, what boots do you think?
Speaking of 70s rock, I think we do have another elephant
We
in
just
the room.
missed the biggest
I
elephant in the
know.
room.
We really
Wow.
did. Anyone know this small 70s band called Blue Oyster Cult?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
They had this song, I think it was called Godzilla.
Veteran of the Psychic Wars?
Yeah, something like that. So the thing about Blue Oyster Cult is, for the time, they were considered heavy metal. You know, in the early 70s, they were metal right alongside Black Sabbath. By today's standards, they're more hard rock, but they were definitely heavy metal for the time, I would say.
Absolutely. I got an old buddy that was playing thrash in the San Francisco Bay Area back in the 80s and stuff, and he was going to Blue Oyster Cult shows, and he was saying they were the heaviest show around at that time, which is kind of crazy when you get stuff like Slayer later on. But like, even Slayer used to wear makeup, so, things change, I guess.
I mean, especially that first, I think self-titled. I don't know if it actually is their self-titled record, but like stuff like Transmonicon NC, Cities on Flames of Rock and Roll, that's some heavy stuff. That's legitimately very heavy.
You could say Cities on Flames of Rock and Roll, Cities on Flames, Cities on Fire, and there's Kaiju Attack.
Man, we're just gonna start naming songs and trying to find.
We're gonna connect
Can
the
we connect
dots.
this to Kaiju at all?
Yeah, I mean, you can't go any more classic than Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla. I mean, they even brought it back for the Monsterverse and had Surge from System of a Down.
And I think Brendan Small, the creator of Metalocalypse, played guitar on that as well.
Oh, that's cool. There's also an 80s metal band called Anvil. Has anyone listened to Anvil at all? They did a song called Mothra. And it's about how Mothra's gonna come tear down the town and kill everybody, which does not sound like Mothra.
Yeah, it's not the Mothra. I think the running theory is that they saw the old American release poster for it and kind of just went with that concept than anything relating to the actual movie or character.
Yeah, because like the lyrics are like, she's coming to get you, she's gonna kill you, she's gonna wreck your city.
Yeah, I remember that version of Mothra.
Oh my goodness. But I guess that shows that like the interpretation of kaiju has also changed over the years, because like back then Godzilla had like Gigantus the fire monster and was kind of seen as a little goofy, but Mothra was kind of the scary weird bug poster. You had the Godzilla versus the Thing poster where it's like, what is this hideous thing? But now you get bands like Kaiju that are just fully embellished in the fun nature of kaiju films and how they can be entertainment but also art.
And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, it's becoming more of a mainstream thing nowadays. We're getting Ultraman on streaming services. We're getting the Monsterverse stuff. It's way more in the public conscious than it ever was. So I think that's definitely part of the reason that we're getting more bands kind of embracing those films in their music.
Agreed. Do you have any comments, Alex?
Now that you mention it, I don't know how we forgot about this. Remember when Sum 41 used a song in Godzilla Final Wars?
Oh, yes.
That's the biggest one, really.
Wow, look at us. Yeah, we didn't bring up Sum 41 initially, but I guess it's good because we got more to talk about. But what a weird thing to just throw into a Godzilla film.
Yeah, that was the first time they ever did something like
Do
that.
we ever even remember why they did that?
I have no idea.
Why the song just happened to be in that movie?
I wish
Not
I
that I'm
knew.
complaining.
I know that Kaiju Masterclass did an interview with Kitamura. I want to see if they asked that question. Maybe he's just a fan of hardcore punk bands or something.
So we gotta get Kitamura on this panel, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he's gonna come up here and talk about heavy metal and Mothra's Anvil and
We gotta bring him to G-Fest just so we can ask him that.
yeah, that's the only question.
I have a question real quick.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Are there any kaiju heavy metal bands that come out of Japan?
Not to my knowledge, but I'm sure they're out there.
Okay, I was just curious.
When I was digging, I didn't really find much,
That would be cool.
but I might need to look at some Japanese Wikipedia sites. I didn't see any.
Yeah, I got nothing on that front,
Or
unfortunately.
don't they allow them to?
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Wait a second. Wasn't there also another band that was involved with Final Wars, Zebrahead? Didn't they perform?
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I
They
can't.
performed something.
They may have done something for the trailer.
Yeah, they are. I just.
My only other experience with Zebrahead is the song they did for Sonic 06.
Oh, that's right. That's who Zebrahead is.
I'm trying to remember who it
It's
was.
Sonic. It's Sonic.
Oh, that's gonna bug me now, because I'm gonna try to remember what the heck they actually did for that film.
Yeah, just Google it real quick.
I
We're casual.
could be wrong.
We'll wait, don't worry.
We're casual about this. We're turning the mics
If you
over to you
couldn't tell,
guys.
yeah.
If you guys want to add comments or bring up stuff that I may have missed, like Sum 41, it's all good. I see that we got a couple more guys in here. What are your guys' favorite bands? Anything?
The only one I knew of that was on the program was Kaiju.
I love Kaiju.
Yeah, they just had a new album. coming
Yeah,
out.
Phase 3, it's real good.
I love Phase 3. What about just general? I've just been asking everyone's general favorites. It's like not related to Kaiju or anything.
Well, I was just sharing with my buddy who just left. There's a band in the UK that a buddy, I wouldn't really call them metal, definitely prog, called Public Service Broadcasting. They do what you could call found footage, clips and pieces of dialogue that they incorporate into their music.
I've listened to them,
That's
not
actually
in
very
a long
interesting.
time, but I've heard of them. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of them. That sounds really cool though.
The Race for Space is a really good album.
Did you find anything on your Googles? Yeah.
I did.
Oh, yeah, what'd you find?
Okay.
Apparently they did a song for Final Wars, but it wasn't used in the film. However, it is on the 50th anniversary CD.
Oh, very nice. Good. I think I have
Good
that
call, Billy.
downloaded.
I just vaguely remembered something, so I guess I was half right.
Glad we're getting down to we're solving the mysteries of Godzilla Final Wars finally.
I don't know why his Google was
Another big one that I feel like we haven't mentioned is Sepultura.
Oh my goodness, yeah, let's get into some Sepultura.
So they have the one song off of Chaos AD. Sepultura, if you guys are not aware, they were a very, very large name in thrash metal. They've done some of the albums like Beneath the Remains, Chaos AD. Beneath the Remains is one of my personal favorite thrash albums. But on Chaos AD, they have a song called Biotech is Godzilla. It's not really about Godzilla. It's like a tirade from former Dead Kennedys frontman Jello Biafra about the misuse of biotechnology, which, hey, isn't that kind of related to Kaiju, some of the
It's like
themes of
the
those
plot of
movies?
Godzilla versus Biollante, is it not?
Exactly. But in case there was ever any doubt as to whether or not they were actually fans, in 2017, on their 14th album, Machine Messiah, as a bonus track, they actually covered the theme to Ultra 7. And I was going through their discography, totally ignorant of this fact. I'm listening to it and I hear the theme going, what is going on here? And the best part about this is I'm actually seeing Sepultura a week from tomorrow live in concert. So I'm gonna bug the heck out of them on social media to see if, hey, can you guys play this live when you play Boston? Please.
Play the theme.
It's a minute and a half cover. You can fit it into your set list, I'm sure.
I really like the band Gigan. Oh, go ahead.
Did anybody mention the song Gojira by Grail Knights?
Oh no, I didn't
I don't know
forget
if
about
the
Real
Omni
Knights.
viewer is.
I'm the power metal guy.
You are the power metal guy. You failed us.
I don't know if you know the Omni viewer YouTube channel.
I do.
But he actually featured that. He couldn't feature it for, copyright strike, but he featured it without featuring it and he says it's the best Godzilla metal song you probably don't know about.
I did not know about
We
it, so
didn't know
see,
about
there
it,
we
yeah.
go. I'm gonna give
He
this
was
a
right.
listen. And for those of you that came in a little later, no worries, but I'm gonna tell you guys that I have a Spotify playlist, and I'll make it on Apple devices, or if someone has an iPhone that I know.
And I'm sure that when we post this panel online, that we'll have the link to that in the description as well.
But I have a playlist on Spotify called Roy Guitars Playlist where all the stuff we're covering is gonna be on, and I'm gonna add Gojira by Grail Knights right now. But
Love watch you do it.
what I was saying is, there's a band called Gigan that I have a vinyl of that I just blind bought. I was at my local trade-in place. I was going through the metal trade-ins, and there's just this band from Chicago called Gigan. I was like, what is this? It's like experimental industrial metal. It's like really weird, it's psychedelic. It's quite bizarre, but I'm a huge fan of it. And it's got those crazy titles like Oxygen Destroyer does, like a great plume with a vacuum ink, and just like crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, they have a lot of like technical death metal influence as well. Now the question is, did you buy it because the name was Gigan?
I absolutely did.
Okay, just making sure. I figured that would be the case.
Yeah, and I just looked at it, it's like Gigan, and then the band picture on the back, they were all in Famous Monsters of Filmland shirts. And I was like, alright, cool, what's going on with me?
I'm sold.
There's another one that I listened to very briefly called the Godzuki Kids. Have you heard of the Godzuki Kids?
I saw you added it to the playlist. I did not look into them at all.
They're like super extreme death metal, but all their album covers are like Godzilla and the cartoon. They're all cute and stuff. So they're like, "Hey, we're the Godzuki Kids," and then it's like the heaviest death metal I've ever listened to.
That feels very in line with like my interests. I feel like I'd like that a lot.
So like your band.
Yeah.
I'll just roll off some of the other ones that we didn't bring up. Like Morbid Angel was like a super classic death metal band from before my time. I'll carbon date myself. I was born in 1998. Morbid Angel did a song on their later albums called Terror of Mechagodzilla, which I can't get more obvious than that.
Did they get a copyright strike for that?
No, it's out. I don't know how.
Not like Gojira. You know, they I guess the song titles are fine, but band names are.
Yeah, you can't name your band Godzilla, but you can write a song called Terror Mechagodzilla, I guess. The Misfits did a song called Kong at the Gates.
Yes.
I know a lot of people out there like that.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah.
So, Gojira had to change their name from Godzilla to avoid lawsuits. Kaiju Daisenso, that's obviously the Japanese title for Invasion of Astro Monster. Do you think Toku just doesn't care if you name it Japanese?
That's a good point.
That's a great point. Like we could just, I don't know any Japanese titles off the top of my head, but instead of Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, you just name it like Embryo Terror from the
Like,
Deep
could
or something.
we just name our band Mosuda and be
We're just fine.
We're just fine. We can't be named Mothra, but Mosuda is fine.
For those of you that are in the heavy metal and not like super death metal, brutal stuff, anyone out there know who Sebastian Bach is?
Yes. Skid Row, anyone?
Billy knows who Sebastian Bach is. He did a cover of Blue Oyster Cult's Godzilla when he did a live show, and it's on one of his live albums, and it's actually pretty good.
Oh man.
It's pretty spectacular. But I mean, Sebastian Bach's got a great voice. I mean, I love Skid Row personally, but covering Godzilla, man, that's like bread and butter right there.
And obviously we've already talked about the fact that Bear McCreary, Serge Tankian already covered that, but Racer X is another one. They're a speed metal band from Paul Gilbert is the guitarist who was in Mr. Big. I don't know who else is in the band, unfortunately, off the top of my head, but on their album, was it Superheroes, I think it's called?
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah, they did a cover of Godzilla from Blue Oyster Cult and also an instrumental called King of the Monsters. And Paul Gilbert is a ridiculously talented guitarist. He can do some really, really incredible sounding things with the guitar. I've seen him use. I mean, Eddie Van Halen has done it.
Does he make it roar?
I would say he makes the guitar roar.
They're roaring guitars.
It all comes full circle. He was Buckethead's guitar teacher.
Oh,
was
he?
Yeah.
It's all connected.
We definitely planned that.
There's also a song called Godzilla with Confidence, but they're kind of a pop punk kind of band. It's not for everybody. I think they're pop punk. Feel free to correct me on that. I'm not 100%.
Oh, I was gonna also include there was a song called Godzilla, or an album called Godzilla that was done by the Veronicas, which is a pop punk band as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, yeah, I'm a heavy metal guy, so I don't know anything about pop punk. So
Yeah.
that's great information.
Yeah, I mean, there was a reason in the description of this panel we had heavy metal and hard rock, because that was what we mostly knew.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and we left out all the rap stuff too. But
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, MF Doom's King Ghidorah side project is a big one. But maybe that'll be for next year.
Yeah, and even if you're into like other types of music, like like ASMR stuff. In 2018, Buckethead collaborated with Viggo Mortensen to create the album Godzilla Sleeps Alone, which is piano and acoustic based.
Whoa. Viggo Mortensen?
Yes.
Like Lord of the Rings, like Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
Like those?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Just wanted to confirm we were talking about the same
Viggo
person.
Mortensen, like the actor dude?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, he makes music too.
That's.
He's got his own record label and everything.
And what was it called?
Godzilla Sleeps Alone.
What genre is that? Is that like similar to Buckethead?
It's a mix of piano and acoustic, and Buckethead is one of the guitarists on it.
That's really different. That's like not heavy at all. That's kind of rad.
Yep.
That's so out of left field. Just like in terms of genre and also the fact that it's Viggo Mortensen.
I'm a little hung up on that too. Like Viggo Mortensen, that's crazy. Like King Aragorn is making some music.
Yeah.
What's your favorite band near the door in the back? What's your favorite band? Godsmack? I like Godsmack.
They're on they just did their final album, right?
They're done?
Yeah, apparently I didn't know this.
What?
Like I saw the album come out, and then they said, "Oh yeah, we're touring for our final album."
Man, there's a lot of guys, like, side note, unrelated to the Kaiju stuff. So crazy how there's a lot of bands, like, hanging it up right now. Foreigner's on their farewell tour, if you like
I
Foreigner.
mean, Foreigner's also been around since
19, whatever.
yeah. Godsmack's a relatively more recent band than Foreigner.
I mean, like, they were around in '02, and that was 21 years ago.
I suppose that's fair.
I don't like to think that it was 21 years ago, but it was. But like, Def Leppard's on their farewell tour.
Again, they've also been around since the late '70s.
Oh, yeah. This is on like their 10th farewell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's always a farewell tour until they need more money.
You have to leave for us to miss you, so.
Right. Oh man.
I mean, didn't Motley Crue like read a contract saying they weren't going to do another farewell tour on their last farewell tour, and they're on another farewell tour?
Yeah. I don't know, that's part of the music industry. I'm a movie guy, so I don't know anything about the inner mechanisms of that. So I got you two guys, you guys know your music.
Not the industry part of it. I just listen to it, man.
Yeah, I'm just like, Holy Diver's the greatest album ever made. Thanks for coming to my tech talk.
That's the panel. Holy Diver.
What's your favorite band, other blue shirt on my right? What's your favorite band or artist? You don't have one?
That's okay.
It's alright.
My favorite artist is like a constant revolving door, anyways.
Yeah, I like switching between. Were you just stretching, Billy?
This guy.
Oh, I missed it. What's your favorite band, dude? Artist, musician? Yeah, he was talking about Girl Nights just a minute ago. They also did, unrelated to the Godzilla song, they did, if I'm remembering the right, Grail Nights, they did Cthulhu as a song. It's pretty catchy. It's like you know who Grail Nights is, David?
I don't. I'm not like super into power metal.
I love power metal so much. They're like a superhero band. Is that the best way to describe it? They're all like superheroes?
I can kind of see that being very power. That sounds like a very power metal thing.
Yeah. But, cool. We got like little bit like 15 minutes. We started a little early. We're just kind of shooting it off. But if any of you guys have any interjections or comments, like please just throw them out there. Because there might be some Grail Night situations that I'm not aware about. Because,
Can I ask you guys something?
yes.
We were talking about like movie band and movie Times to Godzilla. Can you guys remember for the U.S. Godzilla 2000 trailer what
Rob
heavy
Zombie.
metal band played?
Rob Zombie,
Oh
Super
my goodness,
Beast.
we missed that. Rob Zombie Super Beast, there we go.
I think that was probably my first ever like experience with Rob Zombie, and that stuck with me ever since.
It was such a great song to do that.
I thought it was, and I mean, with the music and kaiju connection, I mean, we could make a side note on like the avenue of internet, like fan music videos to all these metal songs. Definitely being influential in the kaiju community.
Yeah, I mean,
10 years ago.
a big part of like the reason I'm into heavy metal was this might be a very niche thing, but when we went to dinner the other day, everyone else seemed to know what I was talking about. Does anyone here remember Earth Baragon Productions?
I do.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
I downloaded some of their videos. I don't think I have them anymore.
Oh, that's a
They
shame.
did a great one with Tokyo SOS 2, Power Man 5000's Drop the
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah, a big part of my musical tastes when I was very young was, you know, Linkin Park in the end set to Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. That's kind of what set me on my path. Linkin Park was my first ever concert, and that's because of videos like that. And then we were talking about the Kaiju tribute ones.
Yeah, it was like kaiju appreciations, and they would like do a tribute to Megalon with the band Sabaton, which is like a super power metal, but it's all about history, which is an interesting thing for Megalon of all guys, but I'm into it. Hey, didn't Buckethead do the Power Rangers theme for the movie?
That was a rumor, but it wasn't the theme. He did do a song on that soundtrack, though.
Okay.
That was debunked by a YouTuber named Natternet.
Yeah, because I heard for a long time that Buckethead did the Go-Go Power Rangers theme for just like the Ivan Ooze movie.
Oh, like the original movie?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you
No,
were
not
talking about the
the
2017.
2017 one, like the one with Ivan Ooze.
Okay. I understand.
Yeah, which would, you know, would have been pretty great. Wow, I blanked. Sorry, guys. I mean, with Guar, we mentioned Guar too. They have a song called like Go
Gore, which is just about a giant dinosaur wreaking havoc through a city. You can't really get more kaiju than that.
That's pretty good too. Here's a weird deep cut for you, just because we're wrapping things up. Trogdor.
Wow. I don't know how I didn't think of that one.
You guys
I love
ever
that
heard Trogdor? From like a,
Homestar Runner.
it's like it's like
Also Guitar Hero 2.
it's this heavy metal song from Homestar Runner about like a dragon man that burned down the city.
Burn the countryside, Jacob. Get the lyrics right.
Oh, sorry. But instead of saying burning, they say burninating.
Yeah, burninating the countryside. There we go.
Burninating all the peoples.
Are we really just gonna have this be us reciting the lyrics to Trogdor now?
It's alright, we're all having fun.
I mean, I assume some of you guys have been to G-Fest. You know that there's a karaoke party at the end of G-Fest every year. We're just having it early this year.
Are you guys having a good show so far? I know it started at like 5 o'clock. But it runs from 5 to 10, so as soon as we get out of this panel, we can have some more fun, meet some guests. Later, not today, we're done for today, but right after us will be the interview with Dore, who was Ultraman in Towards the Future, is that right?
Yes.
And then, is there anyone after that?
Yes, there is.
It's the Star Wars guys, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Baron Lowen and as well as Dorian Kinky
Cool.
at 8 o'clock.
Perfect. And then tomorrow, so for those of you that missed this intro spiel where I pat myself on the back a little bit, I'm Jacob. I'll be around the convention all weekend. Anything on the schedule you see that's Kaiju United is myself and my fellow panelists. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock, I think we have the Rogues Gallery.
Yes.
Which is where you guys get to grab the microphone and talk about your favorite bad guy from Kaiju films and why they're your favorite bad guy. So it's totally interactive to the audience. Before that at noon, I'll be interviewing Mr. Kitagawa in this very room. And we got a tribute to Kazuki Omori happening. And we got Beyond Godzilla on Sunday, which is like, started out as like the Toho films that are not Godzilla, like Mothra, Rodan, Mysterians. But I think we should talk about some of the cool stuff, like the lake that just came from Thailand. Or
Beast Below.
The Beast Below, the Kaiju comedy.
Troll.
Or Troll. Troll's awesome. But
Spoil it.
no, I won't spoil it.
We would never do that.
Which troll? The one that just came out or the
It's on
documentary?
Netflix, I think. I think it's on.
It's on Netflix.
It's a Netflix one that came out last year. It's just called Troll.
No, I've seen that one.
Okay.
You are aware of the funny documentary
Oh.
before that?
No, I haven't. Troll Hunter or something like that?
That might have been Troll Hunters.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys have a good weekend. We'll just wrap this up a little earlier, just so we all have a good time. And
Oh, we have another question over there?
got a question? Go.
Yes, I'd just like to know, who are your favorite kaiju/tokusatsu composers? You can pick one or however many you want.
I know your answer, Jacob.
We'll let Alex go.
You first, David.
Wow. Real cool.
Man, you're playing hot potato up there,
I
aren't
know.
you?
I'm probably going to steal Jacob's answer here. Michiru Oshima. I love her work. Her Godzilla theme is constantly stuck in my head. And the fact that if anyone went to G-Fest in 2019 to attend Kaiju Crescendo, that was one of the most magical nights.
Front row.
Man,
What a great event. That was, for those of you that missed it, live orchestra playing this music. It was wonderful. And again, music and kaiju, man. It doesn't matter if it's rock and roll, heavy metal, pop punk, surf rock, death metal, orchestra. I just think kaiju and music go together like bread and butter. But in terms of my favorite composer, to answer your question, I was going to say Oshima, but I really think Masaru Sato is pretty up there too. I like his funky scores.
I wanted to say Masaru Sato, but I'm gonna go with Koichi Sugiyama, who did the music for Godzilla vs. Biollante, because his style had a very whimsical, almost like Disney feel to it, and you know, it was at a time when Toho was willing to take more risks with the Godzilla franchise, and you know, he just brought something different to it while still using the classic cues.
And I guess since we're talking about rock and roll, roaring guitars, you can't go wrong with Bio Wars.
How did we forget that?
It's just so much music. I mean, it's incredible.
I mean, how long was that playlist again?
Let's find out. Yeah, once again,
I keep saying 2.5 hours.
the roaring guitar playlist. You're right. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes.
Wow, there you
And the
go.
funny thing is, that wasn't all the music we wanted to cover. I mean, just going off the bucket of stuff, there's dozens of
Yeah, we only
other
have a
albums
single
I'm trying to
track
cover.
song on the playlist itself, but Alex here has mentioned several.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of his albums aren't available on Spotify, but if you go to his Bandcamp, they're like $2 an album when he has sales.
Excuse me, I have a question for you in particular.
Yes?
Bio's original soundtrack. Do you think that there's points where, and I have a theory, that Toho kind of, or they told him, or the composer maybe, was kind of getting back at Warner Brothers for the whole Pee Wee Herman Godzilla thing? Because there's a song in there that makes me think Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
You know, now that you mention it, I know what you're talking about. I know that song.
And I just think, is this Toho's way of getting back at them?
It's an interesting theory.
Anyway, sorry.
I've never heard that.
Neither have I.
Look into that
Yeah.
song.
It's the one where the SWAT team are going up in the skyscraper to get ready to shoot the rocket.
Yeah.
Totally off the cusp because we're wrapping up. But Billy, someone found the Serradian agent from Biollante and interviewed him like this week. And he was talking about how he was 19 when he did that role.
Yes, you guys.
Kids are guys. But it was just incredible. Someone found him and he's like working for like a fitness thing and just kind of doing his thing. like at a rehabilitation center, like working, helping people out. He just kind of doesn't act anymore.
So next All Monsters Attack, we can maybe try to get him here.
Alright, Sass?
Let's do it. Alright, you guys, let's wrap this up. I really appreciate you guys coming out. Thanks for coming to the first All Monsters Attack band panel for Roaring Guitars.
And the first panel of the weekend, too.
First panel of the weekend. 3 more plus the interviews. So, woo! Good stuff. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.